Hi, everyone. Thank you, Daniel, Alex, Roman, and Man, and everybody else for organizing this. This is my second talk. I'm a returning speaker, so that shows you don't just speak one time and being forgotten. So you can always come back and give talk on different topics. So what we usually do is whenever Angular comes with their major version, we do a review of what new has been released. I know people already know, but some don't, so we're just gonna have a look at what Angular been up to in recent versions. All right, so I'll just jump straight to the content. I just want to first mention about our friend of AngularNYC, Stephen Fluin. He has been on the AngularNYC, and he has given many talks, answered our questions about Angular. And basically what you see in this slide is a summary of the blog he wrote, which I pointed at the bottom. And basically this one slide gives you everything that he put on the slide and gave description. So I'll get started with the first one, Angular CLI. Basically, there are a bunch of CLI commands that have been added on Angular 6. This is to make our developers' life much easy. So first one is the ng upgrade they added. Basically, the first one is supported as Angular core. So what basically it does is if you do ng upgrade and of one of the module name, of course, if the module supports, it will look all the dependency that it depends on, and it will bring it up on all those dependency on the same one. So if we look at the actual code, this is the only one that I'm going to show some code because other ones are pretty straightforward. So when you do ng update Angular core, what it does, it takes all these, and it will basically, if you have 5.2 or 4.3, it will shoot them up all above 6. So Angular does tell other libraries to start supporting ng upgrade or ng update for easiness of moving their Angular, their version of supporting Angular. So that makes developers' life easy. So if we go from that back to our presentation. So currently, to my knowledge, I know only Angular core is supported. So I'm pretty sure other libraries will start supporting that too. Now then comes to ng add. And as you can see, there are multiple of them that are already supported. And again, other libraries can start supporting ng add. So what happens is when you do ng add / let's say Angular PWA, which stands for Progressive Web App, it automatically pulls down the library, all the dependencies, and it automatically configures throughout your app. So for Angular PWA, it automatically creates the manifest and some other things that need to make it PWA and make the service worker work. Similar for Angular Material, what it does is it pulls down material, it puts it in your app module.ts, and a bunch of other regular configuration that you need to do. Angular Elements is something newly added, so I'm going to talk about it later when I go this portion. ng Bootstrap is one of the UI libraries that have been added, and CLR AngularNYC is one of the other libraries that have been supported with ng add right now. So next comes some of the starter components that have been added for Angular CLI newly. So now if you do ng generate Angular Material, Material Dev Nav, what it does is it creates a new project that already gives you a navbar. So you don't have to manually install Material, then have to write code, and then have to put Material on app module and then get it. So it's a base project boiler template they give you now. So not just nav, now you get dashboard, you get table. Basically, you run one command and you already have a starter project with Material and all that. And then comes the biggest one is supporting library. So one of the biggest requests Angular team got was, start supporting libraries so we can publish in NPM easily. So now what you can do is you can create a project, ng generate library, you can build a library, and then go to the dist folder and do npm publish and your library name. Of course, you have to have a npm library setup. And then you can just do npm install and your library will be installable. It's that easy now. So, so what it does allows developers to share the library around more easily and saves a lot of time publishing the library. So now we come to the tree shaker provider. So before what happened, we provide services in our app.module.ts. And it would just bundle the service with all the components. So they shifted it around now. So what happens, so you do something like instead of providers, you do provide in root. So now it maps it, rather than service, it says here, module referencing services, now it's service reference to modules. So what happens is, where you inject the service gets packed with that module. So it brings down the bundle size, which is much better performance-wise than Angular 5 or before. And then custom elements is a library that just they added, where HTML elements are framework agnostic way. That means it's independent of Angular, even though it's called Angular elements. So it's more lightweight, and it depends less on Angular code. So it's basically a performance booster. And that's pretty much like in terms of what developers can do in terms of new items on Angular 6. And now I'm going to move on to something called breaking changes. It was requested by one of my friends when he knew we were going to talk about it. So he said to cover the breaking changes. So first breaking change that I found was now only template is supported in web components, no more ng template. So if you have some code like this before where you were writing ng template, it was deprecated in Angular 5 from Angular 4, but in 6 they completely took it out. So from now on, if you have template, you have to use ng template, that tag. They also removed all animation from core, so now you have to import all the animations from Angular/animations. And the last one is a big change, ng model change, where before what you have to do is to get the newest value, you have to pass the $event, and then you can get the recent value. If you just provide your binding property, you will get the old value. So they fixed it. And now now if you do ng model change on change, if this is your property, you'll get the most recent value in your function. So that was one of the good things they did, because that makes our life easy. And of course, this is just a summary of the breaking changes. If you want to read about all the changes, it's available in changelog.md. It's like information is out there. It's about managing them. So if you want to read about that, you can easily go there and read more, not just this version, all the version coming up later. All right, next I'm going to talk about upgrading from Angular 5 to Angular 6. I recently did that, and there were some pitfalls that I wasn't aware that I would suggest you to do before you upgrade. First is, do not try the upgrade on your current repo. Clone it somewhere else, run a fresh, change the package.model, and run a fresh try. And see if it works or not, because if it breaks, you just delete the project. You don't touch the one that is working. Because when you upgrade, there's some libraries that might not support Angular 6, and they might crash your project, which happened to me. I was using AGM maps and auth-o libraries. They didn't right away upgrade. They took a month to upgrade. So, so that actually helped me to wait and see when they're done, and then upgrade my project. Number two was you have to upgrade Angular CLI, not just locally, but globally also. So first you run the -g ng install -g Angular CLI, and then you run without the -g to upgrade your project. Or else it would say that your global is like 6.0 something, and your local is 4.0 something, which is a mismatch. And then also clean up all your RxJS imports, because starting from 6, you can import everything from just RxJS. You don't need slash operator, add slash operator, something, something. If you do want to keep them, you have to download an extra library called RxJS Compact. And when you do the cleanup, you can delete RxJS Compact. If you're using Service Worker, in Angular 6, Service Worker works in a different way. So I would say make sure you reconfigure your Service Worker. You have to run it through npm/pwa, and that will set up the manifest, and then basically you do some configuration setup, which is given already. You can just read about it and do the change. And to make sure, if you're using Angular Material, you upgrade the CDK. So when I upgraded my Material library, the CDK wasn't upgraded, so that failed. So I had to go manually upgrade the Angular CDK, and it started working. Another thing to remember when you're upgrading is your Angular CLI JSON gets turned into Angular.json now. So that's something you can manually do too, But if you run a command, there is a command given that automatically transfers everything from Angular CLI JSON to Angular JSON. And of course, if you're not aware or sure what to do for versioning, going from 4 to 6 or 3 to something else, Angular provides you a tool. This is the tool where you can select your version. Let's say we're going from 4 to 6. You can select a complexity if you're using ng and then show me upgrade. It will basically list everything that you need to do one by one. The commands that I was talking about before, you have to do both global, local, and the upgrade to upgrade your project. And this is a step basically that converts your Angular CLI.json to Angular JSON. And then you keep following steps, Angular update material. And this is the steps basically at the end that cleans up all your previous RxJS imports that you did from /add, /observable, and packs them all into one RxJS library. And basically, you're good to go. You can delete the compact after that. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, so that's pretty much everything in terms of my idea of what they upgraded in Angular 6. Of course, there are more improvement on performance on within the inside, but I'm not going to go into that because that's just something will happen behind the scenes. And as us developers, we don't have to worry about it. So with that, I'll end my talk. Thank you.